Who would have thought we'd get to see the highest scoring game this week? A lot of one possession games, 3 of which came to time expiring field goals, and the fact that we're only with 5 weeks to go. There's so much drama in between. Welcome to week 12 of the Blitz Zone, the Thanksgiving edition. Happy Thanksgiving to all you Staten Islanders out there that are celebrating with your loved ones. Whether you're here on the island or in different parts of the country, my warmest thoughts in regards to all you enjoying Turkey Day and being with your special family members and loved ones. And that's what you got to love about Thanksgiving, It's just that camaraderie. Of course, you got to love the food, too. Who doesn't, Turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce. I could go on and on all day. I would need another hour to fill when it comes to Thanksgiving and its food. But also the parade. That's one of my favorite parts. And getting up in the morning and starting to cook with my mom, all the things that we love, watching the parade while we're cooking, watching football as well. And there are 3 games, of course, that are always fun. And the traditional teams like the Lions and the Cowboys, which we will get to in a bit. Now, we're here at week 12 of the season. We're near the end of November. Things are being set in motion to set ourselves up for that December playoff push. Who will be the team to put themselves in front for that final month of the season to get on the road to Super Bowl 53? Well, let's get into the current playoff picture. From here on out, we're going to go into the playoff picture and see where teams are at after each week of the season. Starting with after week 11, going to week 12. On the AFC side of things, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs coming off their second loss of the year by only 3 points. If you look at both the losses they had against the Patriots and the Rams this past week, all combined 6 points that they've lost in those games, 3 in each game. That means they've always been competitive in both losses, and it always came down to who had the ball last. If they had the ball last in either of those games, they would win. In this past week, unfortunately, Mahomes threw a game-sealing interception with 18 seconds to go. But he is on the fast track right now. I think he's the number 1 contender to be the MVP. 36 touchdowns on the year. Ridiculous. I believe it's over 3,300 yards. Very few interceptions. And he's got a great plethora of receivers to throw to. When you think about it, you got Tyreek Hill. He's a really good downfield threat and a guy that's very elusive to try to defend against. You got Sammy Watkins, your slot guy, Travis Kelce, number 1 tight end in the league, Kareem Hunt, who's on his way to another 1,000-yard season as it is, and can catch out of the backfield. And you got Spencer Ware, too, who's a good complimentary back for Kareem Hunt. The one caveat is the defense. In both losses, they gave up 43 points to the Patriots and 54 to the Rams this past week. And they've done that, unfortunately, in a lot of games where they've given up 30-plus points. That's why Mahomes and company, they have to score that many points to win games. But overall, the Chiefs are going to be competitive from here on out. They're going to win. I think they're going to win the conference. They're going to win that number 1 seed in the AFC and get home field advantage instead of last year having to host a wild card round. Dare I say it, I think they'll win their first playoff game in some time when they get the divisional round. Now, the Steelers are in the number 2 slot at 7-2-1. Of course, the one tie being week 1 against the Browns, 21-all, which honestly, that could have went to either team. Otherwise, they've ripped off 6 consecutive victories ever since their loss to the Ravens at home, and including beating the Ravens in Baltimore decisively. And this past week, coming back from 16 points down against the Jaguars, the very team that defeated them twice in Pittsburgh last year, in the regular season, being the 5-interception game, and in the postseason, the divisional round, the 45-42 game. Now, this time around, the Steelers were able to come back, and Roethlisberger really shows that he is one of the most resilient quarterbacks in the league, and he's a tough guy to try to get down one-on-one. You need 3 guys on him. Try and knock him down. He's a burly man, but man, he can get the job done. The Patriots, of course, still leading the AFC East. We're on the bye this past week. They've owned this division practically in this century, other than 2008 when the Dolphins won it. And the reason being, of course, you got Bill Belichick coaching, Tom Brady quarterbacking. The receivers, the running backs, everybody comes and goes, but the one constant has been Brady and Belichick. When you think about it, like Noel and Terry Bradshaw, when you have those quarterback coach tandems that really show you, that are the reason why their teams are so successful. Then you got this year, they've had to deal with not having Edelman for the first quarter of the season. He's done his job coming back. Getting Josh Gordon was a great complimentary receiver for Brady to throw to. Moncrief, not only that, they got some other really good array receivers, and you got, of course, your tight end right there, Rob Gronkowski, the Gronk. He's really he's one of the best tight ends, along with Travis Kelce in the league too. Then the Texans, they were 0-3 to start the year off. They have now gone on a 7-game winning streak and own first place in the. They have first place in the AFC South for the moment. But between now and Week 17, things could change. But what has really brought on this winning streak? 1, J.J. Watt and the defense getting it done in the trenches. 2, Deshaun Watson making good plays. 3, DeAndre Hopkins, who can make those crazy fade route catches, and really has been a great receiver for him, target for him to throw to. And the running game has actually improved in the last few weeks. The offensive line has done a much better job in protecting Deshaun in the last few weeks than they have. There were weeks in which he was getting. In fact, there was one game when they played Jacksonville. He couldn't travel with the team. He had to via plane. He couldn't go on an airplane. He had to actually be on a bus with medical staff. Because if he went on a plane with that pressurized air, it would have hurt his lungs that were basically hurting him from the week before, getting knocked around like a rag doll. So at least the offensive line is doing a much better job in pass protection. Now you got the Chargers in the hunt right now at 7-3, and Philip Rivers having a banner season. He's not on his back as many times as you're used to seeing him, but Melvin Gordon, great all-purpose back for him, and Austin Eckler. Great combination right there. Keenan Allen is doing his job. And who would have thought? Antonio Gates, Philip Rivers' favorite target, his best friend that he's been in the foxhole with for so many years, was originally supposed to retire this year, but their tight end unfortunately tore his ACL in May at mini camps. So it necessitated bringing Antonio Gates back at retirement, and he's got a second life. It's really unbelievable to see what he's doing. Some people say Antonio Gates should be in the conversation for comeback player of the year. You never know. As for the Ravens right now, via the victory over the Bengals at home this past week after snapping a 3-game losing streak, and that's due, in fact, to Lamar Jackson. He made his NFL debut. He had over 100 yards on the ground. This guy, Gus Edwards, also had 100-plus yards on the ground. An undrafted rookie he was on the practice squad for the Ravens, and he came in this week and was contributed in the victory. Now, as for Joe Flacco and the hip injury, that remains to be seen. Who knows if he'll be back this week? I'm thinking it's probably going to be a game-time decision. Now, the rest of the league, you look at the Bengals, Dolphins, Colts, Titans, Broncos, Browns. I'm not even going to the remaining 4 teams that are below 12 spots. Anyway, out of those teams right now, the Colts are the team to keep your eye on. Right now, they've won 4 consecutive games. There were no games in which Luck has been sacked, and he's thrown only 1 interception in that and over 10-plus touchdowns. And this past week alone, and they're thrashing the Titans, it really shows that you can't sleep on Andrew Luck and the Colts. So look for them to be that team that could challenge the Colts for the AFC South. Otherwise, the Browns right now are just in a resurgent year. The Broncos, are in rebuild mode. Same thing actually with the Browns too. The Titans right now were dominating the AFC South, but have now lost control of the division. And honestly, it's up and down. They dominate the Patriots one week, but they get their butts handed them by the Colts the next week. They're Jekyll and Hyde. And the Bengals right now, without A.J. Green, who knows if he'll be back this week, that makes a huge problem for them. And the Dolphins, honestly, Brock Osweiler is a hit or miss guy. They're, again, another Jekyll and Hyde quarterback. When the question is, will Ryan Tannehill be back under center for the Dolphins? Question and answer remain to be seen. Now, in the NFC side of things, you got the Los Angeles Rams, who just defeated the Chiefs this past week, and what could be that could be Super Bowl 53 right there. And if that's the case, boy, are we in for a football treat. My God, I couldn't believe the amount. 105 combined points in that game. 56 first downs. Over 1,000 yards combined by each team. 3 defensive touchdowns. So it was just one after the other. It was just masterful playing by both quarterbacks. But Jared Goff getting the touchdown to Gerald Everett with over a minute to go really sealed the game for them. So right now they're in the driver's seat to be the number 1 seed. But here's the problem. The Saints beat them earlier this year. So if they both end up with the same record, the Saints actually technically would leap over the Rams for number 1. So the Rams have to hope the Saints get another loss in the year and that they get another 5 wins, remain 15-1, still have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Now, as for the Saints in the number 2 slot, they have now won 9 straight games after losing week 1. All due to Drew Brees. 25 touchdowns to 1 interception, only sacked 9 times. The reason why, he has that great quick release out of his hands. That's why he has done so well this year. And then you think about the complimentary backfield in Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram II, who both had over 100-plus yards this past week in their thrashing of the Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions. It's really sad to see what's going on in Philadelphia. But the Saints really are doing a great job. And Cameron Jordan and that defensive backfield has made this team really just shine. How about them Saints? The Bears right now, they are the surprise of 2018. This was a team that was in the basement of the NFC North for the last 4 years under John Fox's tutelage. They bring in Matt Nagy, young coach out of Kansas City, being the offensive coordinator there the last few years in KC under Andy Reid's tutelage. He brings that same style, that same passion to the Monsters of the Midway, and believe me, they have dominated. These Monsters have destroyed the rest of this division. And the biggest caveat, the big surprise move they made was getting Khalil Mack and giving up 2 first-round picks for next year and the year after in 2020. The robbery of the century. They committed a crime right there because, believe me, they got so much, they got some riches out of Khalil Mack in the first few weeks. There were some weeks, unfortunately, he had an ankle injury, but he was back this week. He not only got after Kirk Cousins, caused a fumble, but he also recovered his own fumble. That's how passionate he is as a defensive player. But Trubisky in his second year had 355 yards. Who knows if he'll be able to play this week on Thursday against the Lions in the Thanksgiving game, and maybe Chase Daniels. That'll be a game-time decision. And I love Tarek Cohen, complimentary back out of the backfield. Now, the Redskins, they're number 4 at the moment, leading the NFC East. Here's the thing. Alex Smith, third quarter on a 3rd and 3, got sacked, unfortunately, by both J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney in the 23-21 loss to the Texans in Washington. And this sack was painful to watch. He unfortunately twisted his right ankle and bent it so badly that he had to be taken off the field in a stretcher. And the weird part of this whole thing, and the most ironic part, is the fact that it took place on the 33-year anniversary of the famous Lawrence Taylor hit on Joe Theismann, which necessitated the left tackle to be the most important position. If you ever watched the movie The Blind Side, my mom's favorite movie, the Joe Theismann hit really, it was scary to look at, and the same thing with Alex Smith. And now Smith is not only done for this year, who knows if he'll be back for 2019. They bring in, of course, Colt McCoy, former Texas Longhorn player, who has been sort of an afterthought with the team. And I need some refreshment right now. Yeah. When you talk that much football, it makes you thirsty. Now, the Redskins, they're 6-4, and I was mentioning with Alex Smith now being out for the rest of the year. Colt McCoy hasn't started a game since 2014. For the most part, he's mostly been the backup, or they'll have him come in for a few snaps here and there. He's waited for his moment to be a starter, and now he's got it coming up in the biggest game Thursday in Dallas. And this is a Texas boy who's ready to rope up some Cowboys cattle. Yeehaw. Let's see if you can do it. Giddy up, partners. This could be a really good game or a bad one. Now, for the Panthers this past week, they lost their second straight game. And what really killed me about the Panthers was the fact they decide to go for the 2-point conversion because it's Riverboat Ron Rivera. He's a gambler. He thought it was a good gamble, but unfortunately, Cam Newton decides to overthrow the pass to Jairus Wright in the middle of the end zone, and they lose 2019 to the Lions. And this is the week after they get throttled Thursday night in Pittsburgh. They gotta start bringing up those victories. Otherwise, this could be a long off season for the Panthers. But they also have to get Christian McCaffrey involved. Last week it was 13 carries. Give him more. When you give him 20-plus carries, the Panthers usually are successful. Now it's for the Vikings, losing on the road in Chicago. Their destiny is in their own hands. They got a big Sunday night battle against the Packers. Both teams desperate for the playoffs. So right here, this could go either way. And the last time they played each other, they played to a tie. In Green Bay. This time it's in Minnesota. Anything is possible. And of the teams that are in the hunt, the Seahawks, Cowboys, Falcons, Lions, Eagles. Eagles are a shell of their former selves. The Lions right now, if they can rip off 6 consecutive victories, end up 10-6 with some help along the way, maybe they'll get to the playoffs. The Falcons, in the same boat as the Lions, need a lot of help too. The Cowboys right now have been coming off that victory against the Falcons on the last field goal of the game. If they play their cards right, beating the Redskins on Thursday, they could leap over the Redskins for first in the NFC East. And the Seahawks right now with the Panthers, both of them playing a must-win on Sunday. So that's your playoff picture right there. The NFL just recently announced their semifinalists for the coveted Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. Here are the names: Steve Atwater, famous safety; Champ Bailey, who played cornerback with the Broncos; Rondé Barber, cornerback and safety with the Buccaneers, was a part of the Super Bowl 37 team; Tony Vaselli, a longtime offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars; Isaac Bruce, part of the greatest show on turf, Super Bowl 34 St. Louis Rams; Leroy Butler, safety; Don Coryell, Air Coryell for the Chargers, who should have been in these last years. I'm maybe the only advocate for him, but why is he not in the Hall of Fame? He practically invented the air raid offense. Think about it, NFL. Please put him in. It's a crime and a shame that he's not in. Alan Faneca, of course, brought the Steelers several Super Bowl victories. Did play for the Jets for a little bit and the Cardinals. Tom Flores, the first ever Hispanic head coach who was hired by the Oakland Raiders, should definitely be in as well. Tony Gonzalez, tight end, who you see every time on the NFL on Fox program at 12 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, actually, on the kickoff show. He should be on the main show at 12. Just saying. Torrey Holt, the wide receiver, part of the greatest show on turf, along with Isaac Bruce. Steve Hutchinson, offensive guard. Edgerrin James, the greatest all-time Indianapolis Colts running back. Jimmy Johnson, 2-time Super Bowl winning coach. Also, NFL on Fox on the pre-show. And a college football coach champion with the Miami Hurricanes. Ty Law, longtime corner for the Patriots. John Lynch, current general manager of the 49ers and Super Bowl free safety with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Clay Matthews' father, Clay Matthews Sr., linebacker. Kevin Mawa, great offensive tackle, one-time president of the Players Association. Carl Meckenberg, Sam Mills, Ed Reed, who was a safety, of course, with the Baltimore Ravens, won 2 Super Bowls with them. Richard Seymour, for his years of service with the Oakland Raiders. Zach Thomas, insane linebacker who played some great games for the Miami Dolphins. Hines Ward, Super Bowl MVP of Super Bowl 40 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Darren Woodson. That field will be whittled down to the finalists come January, and then then we'll have the official inductees announced during Super Bowl 53 weekend at the NFL awards ceremony. It's usually 7, 8 people that are in. I think it's 6 players, a few people who contributed, and a Legends selection. All right, now let's get into the week that was Week 11 in the National Football League, starting with the greatest show on earth, or the greatest game on earth that took place this past Monday at the LA Memorial Coliseum. That's right, the Kansas City Chiefs visiting the LA Rams, what could be a preview of Super Bowl 53. This was a game for the ages. This is the type of game that never has taken place. And the reason I say this, because it was a competitive up and down performance by both teams. They both have to be commended, the offenses. The defenses, on the other hand, well, they did get 3 defensive touchdowns, so you have to commend them for that. But to give up 50-plus points, that really means your secondary has to do a much better job in coverage. One of the touchdowns that Tyreek Hill, the wide receiver, got for the Chiefs, that wasn't the Rams' fault entirely. The guy tripped and all that. And when Patrick Mahomes saw that, he's like, okay, easy target, down the left field, boom, Booyaka Shah, got Tyreek Hill, and that was it. He even threw a 73-yard pass to him that could have put them up ahead, but it didn't. Gerald Everett got 2 late touchdowns from Jared Goff, and the Rams beat the Chiefs 54-51. What was good about Goff's performance, getting those 4 touchdowns, but I think, the great performance had to have been Patrick Mahomes. Career high 478 yards, 6 touchdowns on the year. He now actually has, 37 touchdowns on the year. So it was a great performance from him, both teams, and it was a great up and down performance. So give it up to both teams to be commended. I can't wait to see what else takes place. Now, the Raiders-Cardinals right here. Daniel Carlson gets the game-winning 35-yard field goal on the day, because how it all started was the Carr throws a wide-open Jared Cook on the first offensive possession for the Raiders. So it's 7-0. Cardinals take the lead on a Christian Kirk 59-yard touchdown and a 18-yard pass to Larry Fitzgerald. So it's 14-7 at this point. Carl Joseph, the safety for the Raiders, intercepts a pass off of Rosen, and Carr throws a 5-yard pass to Brandon LaFell to tie up at 14-all. Carlson gets a 49-yard field goal, making it 17-14 in the beginning of the second half. Then another field goal by Carlson, 20-14 at this point. Then the second touchdown, of course, to Larry Fitzgerald, giving the Cardinals a 21-20 lead. Then eventually, on the final drive of the game for the Raiders, 2 big 20-plus yard throws by Derek Carr, setting up the game-winning 35-yard field goal by Daniel Carlson as time expires. Raiders beat the Cardinals 23-21. Why, Raiders? You have the number 1 overall pick. Why win? It's not worth it. But, it's pride. That's all that matters in the end. It's pride. And the Cardinals still haven't gotten a victory over any other team besides the San Francisco 49ers. Yikes. Josh Rosen, I know we're family and all that, but you got to do better, man. You have to do better, cousin. I wish he was my cousin. Anyway, let's get into the Cowboys-Falcons. For the majority of this game, it was pretty much field goals by both Brett Maher and Matt Ryan. So it was 9-6 heading into the final quarter, and this final quarter was the most exciting. 26 combined points in the last 15 minutes. And it really just, it was really just a crazy, half of play and all that. And if you look at Calvin Ridley over the middle and a ricochet, but unfortunately on that possession, on a ricochet pass that Matt Ryan threw, Leighton Vander Esch, the rookie out of Boise State for the Cowboys, returns it to 28 yards to the Atlanta 31. 2 plays later, Elliott goes through a hole down the middle, shakes a tackle for DeMonte KZ for the touchdown. And the Cowboys have a 10-point lead along with the field goal. So they're up 19-9. Matt Bryant gets his 4th field goal of the game, making it 19-12. Then eventually, the Falcons get the ball back. Ryan lofts a pass over to Julio Jones, tying it 19-all. Then later on, the Falcons get another possession. They can't do anything. They turn the ball over to the Cowboys. The Cowboys, with less than a minute to go down the field. Several big runs by, of course, Ezekiel Elliott, setting up the game-winning Brett Maher 42-yard field goal. 22-19, Cowboys win. Bengals-Ravens, the debut of Lamar Jackson under center for the Ravens because Joe Flacco has a hip injury. Let's get into all the fun stuff about this game. The fact that Lamar had 117 yards on the ground. Gus Edwards, the undrafted rookie, coming off the practice squad for the Ravens, in his first pro start gets 115 yards rushing. That's the first time ever you have 2 guys in their debut having 100-plus yards on the ground each. That's something to say. Cincinnati, of course, wasn't inept on defense this week. After all, the last 3 weeks, they've given up 500-plus yards, which is a record in the modern Super Bowl era. It's not something you really want to be proud of. And this time around, they were a little better defensively. They only gave up 24 points, but still, at the end of the day, with about 8:12 to go in the game, Justin Tucker gets the game-winning field goal. Ravens beat the Bengals 24-21. What was really bad about that performance, Andy Dalton making some badly timed throws, and the fact that you still don't have A.J. Green to help you split the defenses in the secondary. Doesn't help. All right, Panthers-Lions. Cameron Newton gets 3 touchdowns. Fortunately, earlier in the game, another bad performance by Graham Gano, which he missed an extra point. They're down 2013 after, of course, Stafford throws a touchdown to Kenny Golladay. They need to go down the field to tie the game. So they do so. They go down. Cam Newton leads them down the field on several big plays. Finally, he gets a touchdown pass to DJ Moore, so it's 20-19 at this point. With about 1:09 left, Ron Rivera decides, instead of going for the extra point, which would make it 20-all, but unfortunately would give Matthew Stafford enough time to go down the field and lead them on a game-winning drive, why not gamble, go for the 2-point conversion, and get the victory? Well, let's set you up. Cam Newton's in the pocket. Ball snapped him. He's looking left. He's looking right. Jarius Wright is able to shake from the left, goes to the middle of the end zone. Cam Newton has the ball. And what does he do? He overthrows Jarius Wright. And unfortunately, with 1:09 left, the Lions are able to kill the clock. They won 20-19, ending their 4-game losing streak, while the Panthers continued their lagging 2-game losing streak. Yikes. Sunday Night Football, monsters in the Midway, the Chicago Bears, the Bears in Chicago. I love those Chicago dogs. Yeah, and Mike Ditka, very good coach, though he's not with the team anymore with the sweater vest. Come on, 1985, great team and all that. Winning Super Bowl 20 against the Patriots, 46-10. Woo! That was a game right there. But these modern Bears are going up against the Vikings, led by Kirk Cousins and company. And they're tearing it up in the beginning of the game. You look at Anthony Miller getting an 18-yard touchdown by a pass by Mitchell Trubisky, the 2-point conversion, and then the field goal by Cody Parkey at the end. At the end of the half, they were leading 14-0. And what was really good about Cody Parkey this time around, he got the field goals. Last week, he missed 2 field goals and 2 extra points. What was the funniest part of the game was in the end zone, by the H, there was a bullseye target in between, for Parkey, so he wouldn't actually miss. And you had Chicago TV stations during the week